For years, families all over the world believed they were doing the right thing. A bowl of food placed in front of an aging parent, a warm plate offered to a grandparent, given with love and confidence that it would make them stronger. But what if I told you that some of those very meals that look healthy, meals we grew up trusting, are silently cutting years off their lives? This isn't a rumor. It's what Japan's oldest and most respected doctors have been warning about, after decades of observing the habits of people who live to see not just 80 or 90, but 100 and beyond. If your parents or grandparents are over 60, this could be their story. The story of doing everything right, yet still slipping into weakness, still facing unnecessary decline. Because sometimes the very habits we think are protecting them are the ones slowly draining their independence. And here's the frightening part, you wouldn't even notice until it's too late. One small daily choice. Something as ordinary as the way we fill a plate, can change the course of an entire future. That choice can mean decades of laughter, memories, and dignity. Or it can mean a slow decline into fatigue, dependence, and a body that simply cannot keep up with life. And the saddest truth? Most families will never realize it until they're standing in a hospital room, wondering how things went wrong. But here's what makes this story different. In certain parts of Japan, families have already solved this problem. Their oldest doctors, men and women who serve patients into their own 90s and 100s, uncovered a way of living that prevents this decline before it begins. These doctors have shown us that there is a hidden key, an overlooked daily habit, that has allowed their people to stay strong, sharp, and active long after the rest of the world expects decline. So the question is, what do they know that we don't? Why are their elders still working in their gardens, walking to the market, and celebrating with family well past the age when ours are struggling to stand? In the next few minutes, I'm going to take you inside that secret. And once you see it, you won't look at your loved one's dinner plate the same way again. You are watching Goldenera Senior Health, where we uncover the truths doctors too often forget to share with families. And today, what you're about to learn could be the difference between watching someone you love fade before your eyes, or watching them live on with strength, joy, and independence well into the years you never thought possible. I want you to picture this. A daughter watches her father, once strong enough to lift her high above his shoulders, now struggling just to lift a shopping bag. She fills his plate with what she believes are the right foods, lean meats, bread, packaged cereals advertised as heart-healthy. She means well. Every bite is given in love. But month after month, she notices he's not getting stronger. His legs tremble on the stairs. He leans heavier on the railing. And when he tries to rise from his chair, it takes more effort than the time before. The family argues about it. Maybe he's just getting older, one says. Another insists, at least he's eating something good. They mean well, but the truth is, despite the so-called healthy meals, he is losing strength year after year. They don't see the silent mistake. Not yet. Then comes the doctor's visit. The family sits across from a Japanese physician who has seen this pattern too many times. And with calm authority, the doctor explains, it is not age alone that weakens your father. It is what you are feeding him. You believe it helps. But in truth, it is robbing him of muscle, robbing him of energy, robbing him of years. The room falls silent. Shock, confusion, even guilt hangs in the air. How could they have been wrong for so long? And yet, across the sea, in a quiet part of Japan called Okinawa, families do not face this heartbreak as often. There, elders walk miles each day, bend with ease in their gardens, and dance at festivals long past their 90th birthdays. The world looks at them with amazement, calling Okinawa the land of immortals. But the secret is no miracle. It is hidden in the simplest daily choices, what they eat, how much they eat, and when they eat. The Japanese doctors call it a mystery to outsiders, but for their people, it is common knowledge passed down through generations. A way of living that nourishes instead of depletes, strengthens instead of weakens. But for most of the world, this truth remains hidden, buried under modern diets and the false comfort of packaged foods. And here's where the story shifts. One Japanese elder, frail at 75, began to follow the wisdom of these oldest doctors. At first, she was skeptical. Could a single change really make a difference? She adjusted her meals as advised, not less food, not complicated food, just a different rhythm, a more mindful way of eating. Within months, her steps grew lighter. She climbed stairs without gasping for breath. By her 80th birthday, her friends whispered in awe, "She is getting younger." And today, past 90, she still rises with energy that many half her age have already lost. So you see, decline is not inevitable. Weakness is not destiny. What seems like ordinary aging may simply be the cost of doing the wrong things, even with the best intentions. But the families in Okinawa, guided by the wisdom of their oldest doctors, have shown us a different path. A path your loved ones can still walk, if you choose to learn and act before it's too late. If you believe your parents deserve more than weakness and regret, prove it. Subscribe to Goldenera Senior Health now. And if you don't, comment below why their future isn't worth a click. What those families in Okinawa discovered is not magic. It is biology, something happening inside every one of us right now. Hidden within your cells is a natural repair system, a built-in maintenance crew, waiting to be activated. Scientists call it autophagy. In simple words, it is your body's cleanup process, the way old, damaged parts of a cell are broken down and recycled into stronger, healthier parts. Think of your body as a house. Every day, dust gathers, pipes leak, and things wear out. If no one ever cleaned, repaired, or threw away broken pieces, the house would quickly fall apart. Autophagy is the janitor that never sleeps. It finds broken furniture, rusty pipes, cracked windows, and clears them out before the entire structure collapses. Without it, your body fills up with waste, weak cells, and damage that drags down every organ. The Japanese scientist Yoshinori Ohsumi spent decades studying this process. His work was so groundbreaking that it won him the Nobel Prize in medicine. He proved what ancient cultures seemed to know instinctively, that when the body is not constantly busy digesting food, it turns inward and begins to heal itself. Ohsumi showed the world that fasting, calorie control, and the timing of meals could switch on this self-repair mechanism. Why does this matter? Because when autophagy is active, the body does extraordinary things. It burns stubborn fat not just for weight loss, but for fuel. It hunts down precancerous cells before they grow into something dangerous. It clears away damaged brain proteins linked to memory loss and dementia. It refreshes the immune system so it can fight off infections with greater strength. This is not just about living longer, it is about living healthier, sharper, stronger years. And here is where food timing becomes critical. When we graze from morning to night, snacking without pause, the body never gets the chance to activate this deep cleaning. But when we leave space between meals, when we eat a little less than full, we give the body permission to begin its repair work. Japanese elders have practiced this for generations, long before scientists gave it a name. They eat until they are satisfied but not stuffed. They end meals earlier in the evening, giving the body a long nightly window to restore itself. One of Japan's most respected doctors, Shigeki Hinohara, lived by these principles. He ate lightly, kept active, and believed that prevention mattered more than cure. He was not just preaching from the clinic, he lived the lifestyle he recommended. And he practiced medicine into his hundreds. Imagine that, advising patients, writing books, climbing stairs, still working with a sharp mind after crossing the century mark. He showed his country, and the world, what is possible when science and daily habits come together. This is why the discoveries of Ohsumi and the example of doctors like Hinohara are so powerful. They confirm what we see in Okinawa and among the longest living people of Japan. A body that is given space to repair itself does not simply survive aging, it thrives through it. The difference between decline and vitality often comes down to something as simple as when you eat, how much you eat, and what you allow your body time to do when it is not digesting. If you'd rather scroll past than learn the one process that can keep your parents alive, comment why. Otherwise, subscribe and stand with families protecting their loved ones. These everyday habits are quietly stealing years of life. They don't look dangerous. In fact, many families believe they're harmless, even helpful. But what Japanese doctors have discovered is that these small routines add up, and over time they slowly weaken the body until decline seems unavoidable. The truth is, it doesn't have to be. Let's look at the mistakes that shorten life without anyone noticing. The first mistake is overeating. Most of us were raised to finish everything on the plate. Parents told us it was wasteful not to. But filling yourself past the point of comfort has a hidden cost. When the stomach is constantly stretched and digestion never pauses, the body cannot activate its repair system. Autophagy switches off, and instead of healing, the body spends all its energy breaking down excess food. Japanese elders follow a principle called hara hachi bu, eat until you are 80% full. Not stuffed, not heavy, just satisfied. This simple discipline keeps digestion light, metabolism steady, and the cellular janitors free to do their work. Overeating may give comfort in the moment, but over years it silently steals strength and accelerates aging. The second mistake is late-night eating. For seniors, this habit is especially damaging. After the sun goes down, the body's natural rhythm slows. Hormones prepare for rest, repair, and recovery. But when food is introduced late in the evening, the body is forced back into digestion mode. Sleep becomes restless, fat is stored instead of burned, and the nightly repair process is interrupted. In Okinawa, elders rarely eat after sunset. Their evening meals are light, often vegetable-based, giving their bodies a long overnight window for repair. Families who ignore this and keep feeding their elders snacks or full dinners close to bedtime are unknowingly preventing the very healing they hope for. The third mistake is processed sugar disguised as healthy. Modern packaging is clever. Boxes are stamped with words like low-fat, fortified, or heart-healthy, but inside, they are loaded with hidden sugars. These sugars spike insulin, flood the bloodstream, and switch off autophagy instantly. They create inflammation that damages joints, arteries, and even the brain. What looks like a bowl of harmless cereal or a flavored yogurt can, over years, contribute to diabetes, memory decline, and loss of mobility. Japanese elders instead favor whole foods, sweet potatoes, fruits, and teas, that deliver steady energy without the destructive spikes. Families who continue serving processed foods with comforting labels are unknowingly giving poison disguised as care. The fourth mistake is sedentary living. It is not just about diet. Muscles are like savings accounts. Use them and they grow. Ignore them and they vanish. Many seniors spend hours sitting, believing rest is the best medicine. But inactivity robs them of muscle, balance, and bone density. This is why Japanese elders, even in their 80s and 90s, take walks, work in gardens, climb stairs, and stay active in community life. They don't push for heavy exercise, but they refuse to let stillness become their default. Sedentary days may feel safe, but in truth, they quietly train the body for weakness. And here is the twist that shocks many families. A so-called healthy senior diet, pushed by marketing and even by some medical advice, can be secretly harmful. Many seniors are told to drink meal replacement shakes or eat low-fat processed snacks, believing these are lighter and safer. In reality, these products are often stripped of nutrients and filled with artificial additives that burden the liver, disrupt digestion, and reduce the diversity of gut bacteria. Instead of supporting health, they quietly create dependency and decline. Japanese elders rarely consume such products. Their meals are simple, whole, and close to nature: miso soup, rice, vegetables, fish. Nothing fancy, nothing manufactured. Consider the story of a 70-year-old man who struggled with weight gain, fatigue, and poor sleep. His family thought they were helping by giving him a bowl of cereal each night before bed. When he finally learned from his doctor to stop eating late, replace the cereal with a light miso soup at dinner, and walk after meals instead of going straight to his chair, the change was dramatic. Within weeks, his sleep improved, his energy returned, and his strength began to rebuild. A small correction to a daily mistake gave him back a quality of life he thought was lost forever. If you're comfortable letting your parents repeat these mistakes every day while you stay silent, then don't subscribe. But if you care, hit that button now. Japanese oldest doctors revealed the foods eaten daily by the world's longest living people. These are not exotic luxuries or expensive supplements. They are simple, natural, and available to almost anyone who chooses to make them part of daily life. The difference is not just what they eat, but how they eat it, when, how much, and in what combinations. Let's walk through these foods, step by step, to see how they can rebuild strength, protect the body, and extend life. The first food is sweet potatoes. In Okinawa, they are a staple, bright purple or golden, steamed or boiled, never smothered in sugar or oil. Science shows they are rich in fiber, which keeps digestion steady, and packed with antioxidants that fight cellular damage. For seniors, sweet potatoes stabilize blood sugar, protect the gut, and provide slow, steady energy instead of dangerous spikes. The best time to eat them is at lunch or early dinner, paired with vegetables or fish. For those managing blood pressure, their potassium helps balance sodium, easing the burden on the heart. A simple preparation is best, steamed, sliced, with a drizzle of olive oil. The second food is miso soup. Fermented soy, seaweed, and broth create a daily ritual in Japan that does more than comfort. Miso delivers probiotics that protect gut health, regulate digestion, and support immunity. For aging bodies, it provides plant-based protein that helps preserve muscle. Its salt content means moderation is important for those with high blood pressure, but when made with fresh vegetables and balanced servings, it becomes a powerhouse of daily nourishment. Many Japanese elders begin their mornings with miso soup, preparing the stomach gently for the day. The third food is seaweed. Thin, dark sheets may look simple, but they are dense with iodine, calcium, magnesium, and other minerals that strengthen bones and support thyroid health. For seniors, seaweed is a hidden gem. It aids in metabolism, keeps bones stronger, and supplies trace minerals often missing in modern diets. It can be added to soups, mixed into rice, or used to wrap vegetables. The best timing is during the day, in small amounts, as its iodine can be stimulating if consumed too close to bedtime. The fourth food is green tea. More than a drink, it is a daily medicine in a cup. Green tea contains catechins, powerful antioxidants that protect cells from damage, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. For seniors, it sharpens the mind, supports memory, and lowers the risk of stroke. The best time is between meals, never on an empty stomach, to avoid irritation. Paired with a light snack like a handful of nuts, it becomes both soothing and restorative. For those sensitive to caffeine, matcha or roasted teas offer gentler options. The fifth food is fermented soybeans, known as natto. Sticky, strong in flavor, and unusual to many outsiders, natto is loaded with vitamin K2, which plays a critical role in bone health and preventing fractures. For elders, natto strengthens both bones and blood vessels, lowering the risk of osteoporosis and heart disease. It is often eaten with rice at breakfast in Japan. For beginners, mixing it with soy sauce, mustard, or green onions makes it more palatable. Those on blood-thinning medication should use caution, but for many, it is a silent shield against age-related decline. The sixth food is fish, particularly oily fish like mackerel and sardines. These are rich in omega-3 fatty acids that protect the heart, reduce inflammation, and support brain health. For seniors, fish provides the protein needed to maintain muscle without the heaviness of red meat. It also improves joint flexibility and memory. The best timing is at lunch or early dinner, paired with vegetables. Light grilling or steaming preserves nutrients without adding harmful fats. For those on certain medications, moderation is key, but eaten 2 to 3 times a week, fish is one of the strongest protectors against aging. The seventh food is barley and brown rice. Whole grains are the backbone of the Japanese diet. Unlike white rice stripped of nutrients, brown rice and barley are full of fiber, magnesium, and vitamins that regulate energy and digestion. For seniors, these grains keep blood sugar stable, prevent constipation, and sustain strength. Eaten in small portions alongside vegetables, they provide the slow release of energy that keeps elders active throughout the day. Cooking them softer makes them easier to digest for weaker stomachs. The eighth food is vegetables in variety, leafy greens, carrots, radishes, and seasonal produce. These supply antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that feed every part of the body. For seniors, vegetables support the liver, protect eyesight, and keep the immune system resilient. In Japan, vegetables are steamed, lightly stir-fried, or pickled for probiotics. Their color variety ensures a balance of nutrients that pills alone cannot replace. Now let's bring this together with a story. A woman in her late 70s, once frail and tired, began incorporating these foods into her daily meals. Instead of processed bread for breakfast, she had miso soup and rice with natto. Instead of sugary snacks, she enjoyed green tea with a small sweet potato. Dinner became fish with seaweed and vegetables. At first, her family doubted it would matter. But within months, her energy returned. She began walking to the market again, tending to her small garden, and laughing with her grandchildren. By 85, she was stronger than she had been a decade earlier. The simple wisdom of these foods gave her back a life of independence. If you won't even subscribe while learning what could save your loved ones, then tell us in the comments why you're okay with missing this knowledge. Now that you know the foods that sustain Japan's oldest citizens, the next step is learning how to bring these habits into daily life. Knowledge alone does nothing unless it is lived. That is why Japanese doctors focus not only on what to eat, but also on the simple routines that carry these principles into every day. These routines are practical, affordable, and possible for families anywhere in the world. The day begins with water. In Japan, many elders start each morning by drinking 2 or 3 small glasses of pure water before touching food. This ritual gently wakes the digestive system, hydrates tissues after hours of sleep, and signals the body to begin its natural cleaning. For seniors, this habit supports kidney function, keeps joints lubricated, and prevents the fatigue that comes from dehydration. It costs nothing but gives back years of energy. Breakfast is kept light. Instead of heavy breads, fried foods, or sugary cereals, Japanese elders choose miso soup, a small portion of rice, or fruit. This light meal supplies energy without overwhelming digestion. It allows the body to continue repairing itself from the night's fasting period. For families outside Japan, the principle is the same. A bowl of oats with nuts, or boiled plantain with vegetables, can serve the same purpose. The key is to begin the day nourished, not burdened. Portion control is central. Every meal is measured by mindfulness, not by fullness. Japanese elders stop eating at the point of satisfaction, leaving the body light enough to move, rest, and repair. For seniors who often feel pressured by families to eat more, this discipline protects them from the dangers of overeating. Smaller plates, slower bites, and attention to flavor help make this possible. These routines do not require exotic foods or costly imports. Local substitutions work well. In Africa, sweet potatoes, beans, and millet can replace some Japanese staples. In the United States, brown rice, salmon, and green vegetables serve the same function. In Europe, rye bread, lentils, and herbal teas offer comparable benefits. The wisdom lies in whole, unprocessed foods, eaten with restraint and respect for timing. Consider the story of one grandmother who struggled with weakness after retirement. She relied on processed snacks for convenience and often ate late at night. Her family introduced her to a new routine: water upon waking, a light breakfast of oats with fruit, lunch with beans and vegetables, and dinner with fish before sunset. At first, the change felt small. But within weeks, her digestion improved. Her legs grew steadier. She began walking daily and even returned to her church choir, something she had abandoned years earlier. The structure of her day gave her back her independence. Routines like these may look simple, but they are the bridge between knowledge and transformation. By following them, families give their elders not just food, but the structure to thrive. Food and routines are only part of the story. What truly shapes longevity is the life that surrounds those meals, the daily habits that protect strength, restore energy, and keep the mind clear. Japanese doctors have long observed that what people do between meals can be just as powerful as what they put on their plates. These supporting habits may look small, but together they form the foundation of a long and healthy life. Hydration is the first. The body of an elder is more vulnerable to dehydration because the natural sense of thirst fades with age. When water intake drops, blood thickens, circulation slows, and fatigue sets in. This is why elders in Okinawa sip warm teas throughout the day, or carry a small flask of water on their walks. Staying hydrated is not about gulping large amounts at once, but about steady, gentle intake that supports every organ. Sunlight is another silent medicine. Morning sun on the skin sparks the production of vitamin D, which strengthens bones, supports mood, and enhances immunity. Japanese elders often begin their day with short outdoor walks, exposing their faces and hands to the gentle rays of early light. This ritual is more than physical, it is emotional. The warmth of the sun signals hope, rhythm, and the continuity of life. For seniors who spend too many hours indoors, a few minutes outside each morning can transform energy and outlook. Posture and balance are equally important. Over years, the spine bends, the shoulders hunch, and steps grow uncertain. But Japanese elders practice small habits that preserve alignment. Sitting on floor mats, standing up without assistance, and maintaining balance exercises woven into daily chores all keep their bodies steady. These practices reduce the risk of falls, one of the greatest threats to independence in old age. Sleep is treated with respect. Rest is not simply the absence of activity but a deliberate part of healing. Elders in Japan prepare their evenings with calming routines, warm baths, quiet tea, dimmed lights, that signal to the body that it is time to recover. Deep sleep allows autophagy to work at its strongest, repairing cells, refreshing memory, and restoring strength for the next day. Movement is the thread that ties all of these habits together. In Okinawa, movement is not forced exercise but a way of living. Walking to the market, tending to a garden, sweeping a floor, or practicing gentle stretching becomes part of the rhythm of each day. These movements keep joints supple, muscles strong, and circulation alive. Unlike harsh workouts, these activities are sustainable, enjoyable, and woven into life's fabric. Imagine a man in his 80s who once struggled to rise from a chair. With guidance, he began small, a glass of water upon waking, 10 minutes of morning sun on his porch, and a short walk to the corner shop each afternoon. At night, he replaced late television with calming tea and earlier sleep. Within months, his family noticed the difference. His steps grew steadier, his laughter returned, and the sparkle in his eyes reflected renewed energy. Simple changes restored the dignity he feared was gone forever. These supporting habits may seem ordinary, but they hold extraordinary power. They remind us that longevity is not built on one miracle cure, but on many small choices repeated day after day, year after year. Each habit nourishes the body in a different way, and together, they create a life of balance, resilience, and quiet strength. Longevity is not built in a day. It is the result of steady habits lived over months and years. That is why Japanese doctors emphasize not only what to eat and what routines to follow, but also how to measure progress. Without tracking, families may grow discouraged, thinking nothing is changing, when in reality the improvements are unfolding quietly. Simple tools can keep this journey visible and motivating. One of those tools is a longevity journal. Families can record daily meals, water intake, hours of sleep, and minutes of movement. Over time, patterns appear. You begin to see what helps energy rise and what causes it to fall. For seniors, the act of journaling itself sharpens memory and creates accountability. It turns invisible habits into visible proof. Another tool is the chair stand test. Ask your loved one to sit in a chair and rise to standing without using their arms. Note how many times they can do this in 30 seconds. This test is simple but powerful. It reveals leg strength, balance, and endurance. Repeating it each month shows whether habits are preserving or improving physical independence. Progress photos may feel unnecessary, but they can tell a truth the mirror hides. Taking a picture every few weeks allows families to see changes in posture, facial energy, and body composition. What looks like small daily effort adds up to visible transformation. Of course, not every sign will be positive. That is why Japanese doctors remind families to adjust when needed. If dizziness, sudden weight loss, or unusual fatigue appear, it is time to consult a physician. These practices are meant to support health, not replace medical care. The wisdom of longevity is balance, listening to the body, respecting limits, and seeking guidance when change becomes concerning. And this brings us back to the mystery thread. Why do Japanese doctors insist on these foods and habits every single day? Because consistency is the true medicine. Autophagy, balance, strength, these are not triggered by one meal or one walk, but by repeated choices that give the body time to repair and rebuild. The payoff is not instant, but over months the difference becomes undeniable. Consider the story of a grandmother who began this journey at 76. At first, she was skeptical, but her family encouraged her to follow the routine: water each morning, light breakfast, mindful portions, daily walks, and traditional foods. In the first few weeks, she noticed little. But by the third month, her steps grew quicker. By the sixth, she no longer needed help from her cane. And by her 80th birthday, she was dancing with her grandchildren at a family celebration, stronger and brighter than she had been in years. Visible change, born from quiet consistency. Now the question is, what future do you want for your loved ones? One path leads to dignity, independence, and years filled with laughter and strength. The other path leads to a slow decline, dependence on wheelchairs, and the heavy regret of realizing too late that it could have been different. Families who act early protect their elders from unnecessary suffering. Families who wait risk standing by helplessly, wishing they had started sooner. Picture the heartbreak of a family who ignored the warnings, who said, "It's just aging, nothing can be done." When the decline came, they carried the weight of regret, wishing they had taken the simple steps that could have added precious years of joy. If you love them enough to want that future, subscribe to Goldenera Senior Health now. And if you don't, at least have the courage to tell us in the comments why.